Hi, I'm John with Orange ModWorks, and in this series of videos I'll be going over how to install the various springs we have available in our store. There'll be some tips and tricks and just some general guidelines with spring installation. Okay, this is the Speedload 6. Probably, in my book, the most infamous blaster to take apart. This thing has given me hours of frustration when I was first working with it. So let's get started. We're going to be installing, actually we're going to be removing one of our old tester springs, which is what I think is in here, and installing one of our new Speedload 6 / Quick 16 springs. Okay, so first things first, remove all the screws. They've been removed from this blaster. And then you want to remove this piece of shell. It's a little tricky because this tab is locked under here, so just gently work it out and don't yank it out because you run the risk of snapping this piece of shell, which actually looks pretty cool, so be careful. Next, this remains. Next, you remove the tiny screw from here, and then these two screws, which were hidden underneath the shell, and that lets you get to your magazine. And here we have a magazine and follower that is not, this system isn't as nice as the roller spring they have in the Quick 16, but it works. Alright, you need to now unscrew the dart loading device from this little arm here. It's held in by a flat-headed silver screw. This one. And set that aside. And hopefully the two halves of the shell will separate. There we go. Look at that mess. Alright. Okay, now we have this little plastic bar here attaches to the priming handle, and that's what moves everything. Oh, this already has a new spring, but we'll show you how to switch springs anyway. And now look for this piece. It will be sitting right on top of the breech. So you're going to want to pull it out and unhook it. And just like in the Speedload 6, in the Quick 16, this metal pin will ride in this track. But to put this blaster back together, you have to take this piece and install it into this half of the shell. And it looks like it doesn't fit, but it does. So just kind of work it in there. Okay. And if you lose your dart loader, just slide that back into place. Set everything aside. And here we go. To remove this is kind of like a mini Raider. To remove the bolt sled and breech and plunger, you have to remove one of these retaining rails. They're the same color as the shell, but you can see these 4 screws hold them in. So you can pull all of that out, and then it will look pretty familiar. There's an air restrictor, kind of like a Recon, and a plunger. The difference is the dart tag guns, everything is a little bit larger than the others, like Recon, Raider, Long Strike, and Alpha Trooper. So now, remove the spring cap, and this is 2 pieces. Try to keep it together. Set that aside, and pull out your spring. Watch out for your trigger catch spring, as it likes to get twisted in these blasters and shoot off into oblivion. And unlike the Alpha Trooper, Raider, and Quick 16, the trigger connector bar actually has a spring on it, so be aware of that. This one looks like it's glued on. How nice of Nerf. So for this, we're going to leave everything in place since all we're doing is swapping a spring. Here we have our spring, and we're going to slide it over the plunger, hold everything down, and slide it over. Next, install the retention cap. I think it goes, these two ridges are the top. Oh no. Okay. And like the Raider and Alpha Trooper, the trigger connector bar has a little hook on it for slam fire. That has to go in front of the bolt sled. Like so. Alright, and now to install the trigger catch spring. Without it shooting off into nowhere. Okay. Looks good. So we are going to connect the other half of the shell. Trying to get this moving piece to line up with this pin. Okay. If the two halves of the shell line up correctly on the first try, that's amazing. This has actually never happened before. And now take the this moving piece right here and pop it over that pin. Oh, there we go. That took a little more force than I was expecting, but it pops in. And connect the magazine or the dart loading device to this little arm. And the first screw you should put in is the silver one that holds these two pieces together. Oh, another thing to look out for. See, right now it looks like the magazine spring is installed correctly. You know, this loop just sits over this pillar and it still moves. But what you need to do is find this notch here. The camera will focus. This notch. And take the loose end of the spring and bend it into that notch. And that puts a preload on the spring. If you don't do this, your blaster will only load 5 darts. The last one, the 6th, will always jam. Okay, and then put the magazine cover back on. Install the small screw here, and you're good to go. So I'm just going to hold it shut and give it a test prime. Oh, and there you can see the moving piece there that we had to force in. Okay, being careful because it wants to come apart because there's no screws. And fire. Alright, we're good to go. So from here, once you have this screw in, put on the aesthetic shell piece. And what I like to do is set it straight down and then take a flathead screwdriver to pop this tab in without damaging it, of course. Alright, there you go. Thanks for watching.